I can see straight off the bat though is the fact that Luigi might actually do a little bit more exercise going for his crouching exercise, but I'm pretty sure enough though, we've only got about 2 more worlds to go, especially noticeable with the Green Stars hunting continuation, so... But either way though, it gets a little bit longer, especially noticeable it gets a little bit more tougher compared to the forms of the previous worlds for this point right now, so... Hey, what is up ladies and gentlemen, I am Duffy Duck here from the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more Let's Play of Super Mario Galaxy 2 for the Nintendo Wii/Nintendo Wii U eShop download. So, last time we did manage to able to gather every single of those green stars in World 5. Despite the fact that we did have some bit of troublesome, especially noticeable how the fact that we did manage to die quite a few times in World 5, especially in Green Stars department, even compared to the forms of how it does it on Fleet Glide Galaxy's Green Star 2, but even then, no, that's besides the point. So today for this episode, we're about to be going on to World 6 now, into the forms of, what else? Some Green Stars hunting. So to kick things off, we're going to be getting on to Melty Monster Galaxy first, and then as always, we'll save Bowser's Galaxy Generator for last. So, relatively speaking, this might actually be the final time we're going to be seeing the Bowser stage in this game, because after this, well, assuming if we're able to actually fully conclude World 6 as it is, then after all that stuff though, then we can able to actually move on to World S, which appears to be the final world in the entire game. So anyways, before we get this thing started actually, is the fact that today's day is the forms of the 27th of September, in this case in 2019, so naturally speaking, we've only got about 4 more days to go until when it gets to October at some form or another, and let's not launch ourselves onto that launch star, and why did I somehow manage to dive straight down there? And yeah, you know what the forms of that Polestar thing, like I mentioned earlier, ever since on Wednesday, the Green Star number 1 is going to be most likely going to have to focus on Polestar mechanic once again, because this time around though, is actually way further up ahead, as opposed to the forms of how it does it on that, well, not nearby to the forms of that Polestars themselves. So, and what makes this a little bit tricky and difficult compared to the forms of how it does in Space Storm Galaxy is that, well, there's going to be a lot of those little Megors all over the place, which as a result of this kind of stuff, you're going to get hit a lot, especially noticeable if you're not even like used to with the actual Polestar mechanic all that well, unless if you ever played the original game before, like I did for about several times in the past. But either way though, that's besides the point. And also at this point, as you can see on the actual time length on the actual bottom, it'll probably took me about 50 or so minutes to able to actually just to gather every single of those green stars. I mean, can you even believe that? Well, because of that though, you're going to be seeing me going to go through several failure attempts in during the later green stars. Specifically, Green Star 3 in Melty Monster Galaxy, for example. Well, we're not going to get into that specific green star for the meantime anyway though, because, we're gonna go for those green stars in chronological order, like, we've already known about this kind of stuff. So either way though, allow us move on to, Green Star number 2. Thankfully though, Green Star number 2 wasn't that difficult, it's just that you need to able to actually use those little, twisters, or the actual tornadoes, or the actual twister tornadoes to able to actually make your way there. So either way though, there's not much else to really say about this for the sake of time, but either way though, there's not much else we can really say about this other than the fact that, well, we're going to able to actually just to realize about the fact that the green stars later on is getting really, really difficult to obtain. Especially noticeable how the fact that, well, I would say World 6 Green Stars for that department was actually kind of a longer story because, well, after all, about the fact that, like, let's just say in Battle Belt, for example, well, we're not gonna mention about that right now because otherwise that we have to still mainly focusing on Melty Monster Galaxy first, of course, and you probably get the idea how this will turns out to be. So anyway though, another thing's worth mentioning though, especially noticeable for the Brony community such as myself here, about the fact that, well, we've only got about tomorrow where the episode 22 of the finale season will be up and during tomorrow. So either way though, that's they'll be, pretty exciting, but it's also that it might be a little bit more different for one another, but either way though, we're not going to spoil anything for this point, because unlike in the, you know, the early leaks, especially noticeable in August during that time, they somehow managed to spoil the actual finale of the entire series, or especially noticeable with the actual season as far as I'm aware, so let's not mention about that right now. But anywho though, another thing's worth mentioning though is the fact that the actual weather forecast during today, especially noticeable that we're still in the UK, unfortunately though it's pretty terrible at this point because either way though it's gone pretty raining all of a sudden. Mind you, it's because, well, at this point in time we're getting pretty close to autumn, so either way though, well, it might be still autumn season at this point right now, so gone however is the forms of the summer season until you know, in 2020 at some point in June, and especially noticeable in July, and eventually the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, the Summer Olympics, will be able to actually make it begun. But you know, you get the suggestions here, so I don't think we can able to actually see these pole stars for the time being, because other than the fact that we were able to actually see those again, during at the very end of the game. So either way though, we were able to actually come across into that until, again, as I mentioned before, on the 12th of October, because of that though, that, you know, finishing exactly the same time as when My Little Pony Friendship is Magic series is being concluded. Because of that though, I really do enjoy the actual show still, but either way though, there are some questionable things about Season 9 so far, which is, 246 great episode wasn't particularly special for me, apart from the fact that it's gonna be some of those cheerleaders and all that such, which is alright. I mean, not the best episode in that particular season so far, but even then, hopefully it gets a little bit more stronger and better as far as the later episodes become, especially noticeable with the final 5 of those episodes, and I somehow accidentally missed that green star. So yeah, this is the green star I was talking about, as you can see right there, because you remember from, you know, with the forms of the normal mission, where I seem to able to do the normal mission just fine, but, seemingly to say, I think obtaining that particular green star on this particular segment right there, it kind of reminds me of somewhat similar to Super Monkey Ball Banana Splits on the PlayStation Vita, where the fact of the matter is though, I did manage to play that game not too while ago, but I haven't really gone back into it though, because, Jesus Christ, advanced difficulty on, you know, Banana Splits is so ridiculously tough and difficult, especially when there's, like, too many obstacles, and especially noticeable with the actual environment moving hazards or obstacles you need to worry about right now. But either way though, that's as far from the case. And anywho, that's not besides that the reason why I'm going to mention about that right there. Because of that though, you know, with these hidden goals on the forms of Super Monkey Ball Banana Splits, that in one of those levels that has been very well hidden, and as a result of this kinds of stuff, you need to take a risk by able to actually go for the hidden, you know, with the forms of that specific, you know, warp goals and all that stuff, just like the forms of how it does it on Super Monkey Ball 1, 2, and Deluxe. That, and also same applies for Monkey Ball Jr. as well, I believe, and, I'm not exactly sure about touch and roll, but either way though, that's as far from the case. But in those games, that it does allow you to able to transport to those different levels rather than just the actual chronological order levels. It's kind of like that, but except the fact that we're actually collecting green stars as opposed to finding those goals and stuff. So, but anywho though, as you can see, we actually did manage to rank up some more of those star bits, as you can see. Even though it might be seems redundant, but there's one little factor about these star bits that will save that up and during at some point in October, as I said before. Specifically on the 11th of October to the 12th of October, so that way we can able to get this Let's Play finished. And, you know, I mentioned about this several amount of times before, and there we go, that's more like it. Thank goodness we managed to got that particular green star at long last, even though it took me about a couple of tries to able to get that angle right. Especially noticeable how the fact that you always a little bit slightly off to the side for that particular green star to obtain, but at least on the upside though, we managed to finally got it, so... Anyway though, so let's go ahead and now move on to the next Galaxy stage. This will be the final time we're going to be seeing this particular stage. Well, specifically for Melty Monster Galaxy, and I believe that particular music with the Melty Monster Galaxy will be revisited during the forms of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and I really don't know about Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U, honestly, because at this point in time, I'm pretty much used to playing Super Smash Bros. Ultimate a lot more than new forms of how it does it on the Wii U this time around, because, well, at this point in time is that the Switch is doing super well when it comes to selling points alike. But I don't know what the actual record for the selling points of the Nintendo Switch is currently at right now, but we'll save that up whenever we're able to actually just mention about that specific stuff, assuming if they actually got ourselves these current records and all as such, and during the actual updates and such. But you know, you probably get the idea about the solution here, so anyway though, next stage, as you can see right there, we are now managed to able to actually get back into the forms of Clockwork Ruins, and this time, well, obviously you just have to grab these green stars and hope for the best. So, sometimes though, Green Star 1 can be very tricky because the amount of times you're trying to able to jump at the right time onto that specific wall over there, and then next thing you notice is the fact that sometimes the momentum will able to actually drag you into the different sides of the actual Green Star itself. Although, I honestly found that particular Green Star won't be so much of a troublesome, but whenever we get to, like, Throwback Galaxy, specifically, Green Star number 2, that, you know, it'll get ridiculously difficult as far as proceeding goes, so, but let's not get ahead of ourselves at this point. So, either way though, let's go back in here, and do Green Star number 2, and after that, it'll be Green Star number 3, so either way though, I'm quite surprised about the fact that we're actually getting pretty close towards the end. Specifically, in some galaxies may actually carry for about 3 green stars, whilst the majority of the actual remaining ones, to be more specifically, Flash Black Galaxy, as well as Slimmy Spring Galaxy, and especially noticeable with Bowser's Galaxy Generator, and even for the majority of World S, it's gonna be most likely gonna have to bring us into, likely, 2 green stars. So, that's as far as I can usually think about it. But, some majority of those are green stars later on, specifically World S, where I found, some of them are very, very easy to get, especially in new forms of, like, Mario Squared Galaxy, as well as, Twisty Trials Galaxy, and especially noticeable with, Boss Blitz Galaxy. But as far as from the rest, well, except for Green Star number 1 on Flip Out Galaxy, which again will point things out at some point at the 11th of October for that specific upload, so that we can able to actually get this Let's Play finished until again, although I'm not going to mention about that multiple times already, because I'm sure many of the Brony fans already know about this at this point, so we'll not mention about that again, so... Anyway, so let's flip the switch over there, so that way we can able to do some sort of like a top-down perspective here, and much like the forms of how it does it on right-side-down galaxies, that we need to go onto this particular wall, and in that way we can able to find the Green Star number 2. So there we go. So it's not too bad though when it comes to Green Star 1 and 2, but I believe the third and final Green Star is going to be very close to the actual normal power stars located on, specifically on the actual normal mission itself. So even then though, we have to get that as much as we can. So either way, there's not much else to talk about, apart from the fact that I've already mentioned about this before, since in Yoshi's Woolly World so far. Hopefully though, by the time until tomorrow, that Sonic is definitely need to come back onto Kingdom Hearts Final Mix, and join at some point in, you know, for this, specifically for this weekend. But except in the forms of the 5th of October and stuff, because eventually we might actually do a next redo Let's Play. It will be returning back to the Mario Kart series once again, because obviously we already did done the redo Let's Plays of Mario Kart DS, Mario Kart Wii, and Mario Kart 7 last year. So I bet it will be likely Mario Kart 8 / Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but we don't know which version we might actually get most likely focusing on, but obviously, spoiler alerts, it will be the Switch version because it has a lot more characters, content, and way more better battle mode than the forms of how it does it on the Wii U version. Well, I'm sure most people already know what I'm gonna able to actually say about that right here, especially how the fact that the Switch version of Mario Kart 8 did manage to sell significantly well than the forms of how it does it on the Wii U version of Mario Kart 8, or still enough though is the fact that Mario Kart 8 is still in the top lead when it comes to the selling points on the Wii U version, as well as the forms of the Switch version alike as well. So even then though, that, well, it's pretty cool actually, because either way though, that game did manage to receive so well when it comes to reviews and critics alike and all the other stuff. So even then though, that needless to say, that recently I managed to able to try out Mario Kart Tour recently, during the forms of like 2 days ago. Well, I probably will mention about that later down the road, or even Sonic will be able to mention about that specific stuff during at some point whenever we finish up with that entire Mario Kart Tour. But either way though, that we've only just got started. It might take a while to able to get used to with the actual touchscreen controls when it comes to like drifting and driving skills, but the only criticism I can think of is the fact that well, you know, as far as I mentioned about this countless amount of times, there was a lack of multiplayer options, which I'm pretty disappointing to say the least. But aside from all that stuff, there's not much else to say. Okay, something worth mentioning also is the fact that one thing that I forgot to mention about this something is the fact that, you know, with the film called Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, specifically by the films made by Sony Animation Pictures and stuff like that, where basically that particular film, well, I found that film to be kind of mediocre because, well, I wasn't really interested into it, but at this point in time is the fact that that particular film has been out for about 10 years now. I mean, Jesus Christ, it's been a decade old. But despite the fact that I've not actually seen it on the big screen because I wasn't interested at first, and especially noticeable because of how the fact that I'm most likely into with the forms of interesting ones, like specifically Up, essentially, and especially noticeable with obviously The Princess and the Frog, despite the fact that in the UK version, well, I didn't get a chance to see it back in the day, back in during the forms of 2010 at the very beginning, because I was really into gaming on that specific year, but well, I was originally trying to able to see The Princess and the Frog to see how this will turn out, but I've now managed to able to buy that on DVD now, back in 2010, and I actually do really enjoy it, despite the fact that the actual box office didn't do so well enough, because either way though, due to this awful films they actually did manage to release, specifically in the traditional NO! I just don't believe it. I seriously just missed that green star. Oh, damn it. Hopefully we're not far off of it though, but still, that I'm presuming that between Green Star number 3, especially noticeable with Time for Adventure mission, those are the probably is the most longest missions in the whole entire game, just because you have to deal with a lot of those obstacles you need to dodge, as well as the forms of so much things you can do, and all that stuff. So even then, I just can't even believe I accidentally died. I think it's probably because of my depth perception, or maybe it's because I was a little bit too early to able to actually obtain a green star to begin with, but I just really don't know if I actually going to be able to actually take a death or not, but oh well, we'll try that again. And thankfully though, we managed to make our way to this specific point in a much more quicker fashion than the forms of how it does it from before, because we know with the actual rotational wall climbing segment. But anyways, let's try to get that godforsaken green star again for the second attempt. It won't be that hard though, I swear to god, it wasn't that hard. It's just that my depth perception is getting a little bit more too early to predict at this point. So either way though, hopefully though, we can able to actually obtain that for reals this time, and hopefully speaking, we could able to actually just try to get it. So, come on. There we go. That's more like it. There we go. And that pretty much takes care of the forms of Clockwork Ruins for this point right now. And I pretty much almost recorded this for about 20 minutes or so. I mean, we've only just got started with World 6, but at that again, because the majority of the green stars not only can be pretty difficult to obtain, but also they can be pretty dang long at the same time, because as a result of this kinds of stuff, that mostly the majority of the galaxies, specifically Clockwork Ruins, and especially notable with Battle Belt Galaxy, which we'll get into that just in a moment, but you know, sometimes they take forever to able to actually just get to there. Well, I don't mind the actual length of it though, but it's just that, well, assuming if you're trying to able to be not so much of a death syndrome, or even especially noticeable if you really can't afford to die multiple times, well, you know. So anyways, let's go back into the forms of Whomp's Fortress, or in this case Throwback Galaxy, for the final time. Well, in this case we have to replay this level for about 3 times because of, again, the green stars hunting, of course. So either way though, let's go get this thing started with green star number 1. I think green star number 1, it should be... And that's what I get for able to actually not knowing what I'm doing. Oh jeez, that was a bad start in green star 1, but nonetheless we have to take a death though, so... anyway, the actual first green star is not that difficult, except the second green star, because, well, you probably guys already know what I'm talking about whenever we get to that point. So, the first green star is underneath that specific shifting platform, and it's very easy to obtain, honestly, but until, again, the second green star, it can be very, very hard, or difficult, or hell, but either way though, we'll, get ahead of ourselves and join at some point, but for now we got 217 of those. Excuse me. Yeah, we actually got about 217 of those power stars so far, so even then though, that we're actually getting pretty close to the actual star count at this point, which, I can assure to you we might actually reach up to the, specifically, 228 power stars if we manage to able to likely obtain every single of those green stars in World 6. So either way though, that could be a little bit more simple as far as I'm aware. But either way though, we'll get to that whenever we get to it though. So either way though, yeah, what was I gonna say for that specific discussion I've already mentioned about a few seconds ago? Oh yeah, with the forms of the Princess and the Frog, that I managed able to finally obtain the actual film. And I will say, I absolutely enjoyed the film so much. Despite the actual box office didn't do so well enough, unlike the forms of how it does in the most high-grossing films, which is of course The Lion King, especially noticeable in Aladdin most likely, and I believe Beauty and the Beast as well, which I could assume that's what that is. I'm not talking about the live-action movies, but it's just the actual animated versions of the films themselves. Well, apart from the fact that, wow, as much as I'm pretty much okay with the forms of Beauty and the Beast remake, but not the best version out there, because apart from the fact that with, you know, with the lack of emotions and all that such, which nothing compares to the forms of the Lion King live-action remake film, because, seriously, whoever thought this is a good idea when it comes to, like, wow, the lack of, well, everything, and the film is pretty much bare bones. But anyway though, dang it, dang it, dang it, dang it, dang it, dang it. I just clicked for the floor. Despite the fact that my shadow was actually on there, so either way though, we'll try this again. And this is the green star I was going to talk about, because you know what that particular swamp we need to get onto? Well, that's the entire purpose of this green star represented with, because you need to be able to get onto its head, and believe me when I say this, this is definitely the most trickiest green star to obtain, because, well, not only do you able to actually try to time your jumps to able to actually get onto the swamp's head, but also the actual thing itself, especially noticeable with the actual weird collusion thing, where basically it just gets like some sort of a wobble effect, where basically it really messes up with your jumps if you're trying to able to obtain that godforsaken green star. But either way though, because as a result of this kind of stuff though, it'll give you a lot of practice, especially because if you really want to try to aim on its head, and then most of the time I was gonna able to try to hop onto its head, but most of the time I just keep on getting myself screwed over just because how slippery the actual physics work. Well, not so much slippery as it is, but because of Luigi's butt underneath on his shoes. But either way though, that's besides the point. And even then though, it might actually take me a lot of tries to able to get that green star in general. Especially you really can't afford to able to take an instant death if you get squished by the forms of that particular womp over there. So anyways, let's go ahead and... Whoa! No! No, no, no! Get a green star! Get a green star! No! Oh my god, I was really so close for that time. But if you somehow accidentally manage to kill the actual womp, well, guess what though? You need to able to take a sacrifice, and then you have to redo the entire segment again, which as a result of this kind of stuff though, but then again, it'll take you a lot of tries if you really want to get that, you know, for that particular green star itself. But nothing compared to the forms of Rolling Coaster Galaxy, which we'll get to that at some point in the 11th of October, as I said before, for that specific uploading time-wise. But either way, though, let's not get ahead of ourselves just yet, though, because, well, we've already just got stuck here just because of the actual, just trying to able to actually get onto the Womp's head, and then as a result of this kinds of stuff, it is so stingy when it comes to, like, giving me some chances to able to actually get up there. I couldn't imagine of how the fact that some players might actually do some speed runs at this game. Oh my god, they might have themselves a hard time with this particular green star to obtain. Well, unless if you really want to be skillful enough, unless if you really want to get that godforsaken green star to begin with, but hey. On the upside though is the fact that we're pretty much almost done for this point, especially noticeable with World 6 in general. Come on, there we go! Jeez, that took me about, I would say about 3 minutes just to get that stupid green star to begin with. Ah, god dang it. But luckily though, for the third and the final green star in Throwback Galaxy, and especially for the majority of the Battle Bells Galaxy essentially as well, and, excuse me, and also same applies for, Flash Black Galaxy, as well as, the Slimmy Spring Galaxy. Thankfully though, these green stars won't be nearly as, like, ridiculously hard as the forms of how it does it on this particular quite a few green stars in World 6 so far, like Green Star 3's Melty Monster Galaxy, because you have to be so precise on that angle, and especially noticeable with Green Star number 3 on the very end on Clockwork Ruins Galaxy, because you have to be so precise with your depth perception, and also Green Star number 2 in Throwback Galaxy, just so that you can able to do the ridiculous amount of timing work, even if you really want to try to go after it. So, needless to say, I just think that particular green star will have to be the trickiest and probably the difficult out of the bunch. But then again, nothing compares to the forms of how it does in later on though in World S, because, well, you can definitely tell why whenever we get to that specific point. So, the third and final green star is going to be somewhere at that specific spot, as you can see right there. And then as a result for that specific stuff, although you can't really see on the actual camera angle, but if you're trying to able to long jump at specifically at this point, then you should be able to get yourselves the glorious green star, of course. And that, my friends, will conclude the actual Throwback Galaxy. So either way though, I won't gonna miss that specific galaxy as a result, because that was essentially the actual, it's a nice little throwback to the forms of Super Mario 64, actually, which, needless to say, by the forms of Womp's Fortress and all as such, which, I kinda wish you'll do that at some point in next year's, 35th anniversary of the Super Mario Bros. Series at this point, but we don't know exactly for sure just yet, so. Anyway, those let us move on to Battle Belt Galaxy's green stars now, and thankfully though, for the majority of them, it was always going to be at the very top on the actual glass containers. So either way though, there was going to be one in the actual Pumpkin Planet, and as well as the forms of that particular Garden Planet, and finally the actual, the third and final one will have to be by the forms of at the very end of the level, so. Excuse me, sorry about that guys, because I got something in my throat there. And plus my throat is actually a little bit dried up, because there's a lot of things I just managed to mention about that specific stuff for today. But either way though, we'll mention more specific details, specifically on the actual 11th of October, as I said before, whenever we get very close towards the end of this Let's Play. So either way though, I'm still quite surprised about the fact though, I'm not so surprised about the fact that, Cap King 74 has not even come back to this yet, specifically on the Green Stars run, but I'm hoping that he will guarantee to be able to do that, specifically for, just trying to able to 100% for everything in this game. But either way though, we'll find out for ourselves at some point in the future though, especially how the fact that this game is pretty much going to be 10 years old next year for 2020, which I can't even believe time actually does fly a bit. But anyway though, I really do apologize with the actual thing right there, because otherwise that I just got myself my dry throat still. But either way though, hopefully though, until when we get to World S at some point, in 11th of October as I said. But for the time being, whenever I decided to take a break on this game for a little while, until, you know, the 11th of October to able to conclude this Let's Play, especially on the 12th of October, essentially, then I will mainly focusing on something else. Specifically, well, not Pac-Man World 1 yet, because I'll save that up at some point in Halloween to make more of a perfect fitting for that specific tone to it, and especially noticeable with how the fact that, well, Mario needs to get back into, well, Super Mario Odyssey at some form or another, especially in, let's say in September, he might actually get back into it though, especially for me, I need to get back into, you know, Yoshi's Woolly World still. In fact, I managed to recently finish up with World 4 so far, so I'm now on to World 5, and, especially noticeable that, you know, as I said before, this weekend, that Sonic will definitely need to get back into Kingdom Hearts Final Mix before he's able to conclude that Let's Play, before we move on to, well, as I say, the next installment of the Kingdom Hearts Let's Plays and stuff. Or to be more specifically though, travel back in time in the past, to able to actually notice to realize about the fact that, well, the 3 Keyblade wielders were originated, so... But either way though, let's not get ahead of ourselves just yet though, because, well, a little bit too early to able to decide, but either way though, we'll save for that one point as it goes on. So either way though, let's go and launch ourselves for this point right there. And by the way, you know, with the actual 3 green stars in this specific stage, as you can see, well, we need to go through this serious amount of enemies, specifically for 3 run-throughs if you really want to go after every single of those green stars, which, sometimes though it can be pretty overstayed or welcome, especially because of how the fact that, well, you always have to go for this crab section, because if you go for this crab section, sometimes he really manage to drag anything else most of the time, and especially noticeable how the fact that if you really want to able to guarantee that, and by the way, if you somehow manage to just defeat the enemies as much as you could, well, to be more specifically, if you manage to skip that particular green star over there, and if you somehow activate that specific key to unlock the actual next path, as you can see, well, I don't think there's any guarantee you can able to get that green star as often, because, well, you always have to recommend ignoring the enemies while some of these enemies and join later on throughout each planet, and then that way you can able to actually just to get that green star with ease, so... But you know, you get the suggestions for this point. So either way though, aside from everything else though to mention, again, there's not much else to talk about because, well, if we've already mentioned about the actual, scheduled Let's Play schedules at this point, especially noticeable how the fact that we're actually getting pretty darn close between each game so far, like specifically as I mentioned before, we're actually getting pretty close towards the end of, specific Let's Plays, most notably with Pac-Man World, and especially noticeable with, you know, Super Mario Galaxy 2, which is right now, by going for these green stars and all that such. And especially noticeable with Super Mario Odyssey and stuff like that, so that Mario needs to go through, the dark side of all that stuff. And especially noticeable that Sonic is almost getting pretty close, to the forms of Kingdom Hearts Final Mix. Although between Kingdom Hearts Final Mix, especially noticeable with, Yoshi's Woolly World, those 2 Let's Plays will definitely need to catch up at this point for, specifically trying to able to finish those Let's Plays as much as we can, so... At least I'm very glad that we can able to focus on those, instead of back in the forms of August's, you know, the next marathon, which is the Sonic Boom marathon, because I found, that particular marathon a little bit time consuming, especially that, you know, with the worst games out there, specifically Rise of Lyric specifically, that it really does manage to able to drag on for that specific game as a result. Especially noticeable with the whole bunch of glitches you always have to go through and all that such. And also the actual processing and recording segments with, you know, Shadow Crystal as well as Fire and Ice, because those 2 games are from the 3DS department, and, after cancelling the forms of that specific marathon because it didn't go so well, and as a result of this kind of stuff though, we can finally get back into the forms of these current Let's Plays, you know, for, you know, between these 5 games at the moment. So either way though, well, we've already done, quite a few little bit of Let's Plays, well, specifically those new ones, but, I will say for this point right about now, we haven't done that much new Let's Plays specifically for this year. Well, apart from some, several of the exceptions, mind you, which is specifically, some new ones, like New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, despite the fact that we've already done that Let's Play before on the Wii U, but thankfully it's been improved with the actual quality and everything. And, also that could be the same applies for, you know, Yoshi's Woolly World, and even Super Mario Party, and heck, even with the forms of Klonoa Daughter Phantomile, and heck, even with the forms of the original Donkey Kong Country for the Super Nintendo. And hopefully we might actually do some more, like specifically, we haven't done that much in terms of Wario Let's Plays for the time being. Well, apart from we've already done one, which is of course, WarioWare Smooth Moves, but that was the part of the forms of, the 2013 kind of Let's Play special, which is specifically the 1000 video special, specifically for, you know, Wario Smooth Moves. In fact, I don't know if I can able to actually do that redo Let's Play of that specific game, because at the end of the day, well, the quality itself was pretty terrible, of course. But when it comes to everything else though, well, I think it's probably best to able to do a redo Let's Play of that specific game after all. Or even we might actually do the entirety of the WarioWare games at this point. Well, not all of them per se, because WarioWare Twisted was only exclusive to America, and especially noticeable how the fact that the actual recording process in WarioWare Twisted might actually feel a little bit more complicated to say the least. And especially noticeable with Game & Wario, because we haven't got that game still. And plus I found Game & Wario was actually not that great of a game, to be honest, because it feels nothing like the WarioWare game to me. And especially noticeable with how the fact that we couldn't be bothered able to do a Let's Play of WarioWare Snaps, because it's pretty bare bones as you think, because they only have like 20 micro games as far as I'm aware. And plus the actual the quality on the DSi camera was pretty mediocre to me though, besides like get all fuzzy and stuff like that, so I just want to point things out. So anyways, let's go ahead and deal with this enemy right here. In fact, this will be the final time we're going to be seeing this. You son of a biscuit, I'm gonna kick your butt. Oh, okay, come on, okay, it's already getting ridiculous with these guys. But regardless of such, we managed to be able to dish out those guys no problem this time around. So either way though, despite I just got hit quite a few times, but either way though, let's just go ahead and get the third and the final green star on specifically in this stage. And then every once in a while though, as you probably already can tell, we are basically done with every single of those galaxy stages, to be more specifically when they hold up for about 3 green stars in each stage. So that takes care of those, and then the majority of them, as we said this before, the majority of the later stages, especially in World S, we're going to be most likely going to have 2 green stars in each stages. So either way though, yeah, we're actually getting pretty close for this point, and despite we actually almost reached over for about 40 minutes for this recording session, which even though that things doesn't take nearly as long, well, apart from the fact that I do apologize with the actual video's length, by the way, because, well, apart from the fact that we've almost nearly towards at the hour recording session, because of that, though, let's just not, hopefully we can able to not reach into that specific hour of recording sessions at this point in time. So anyways, let's move on to Flash Black Galaxy, which the first green star is going to be somewhat near to this particular darker room, which I think we do need to require Yoshi on this specific mission. And the second green star is going to be at the very end of this stage, so even though it's not that far away from here though, but apart from the fact that we need to deal with the forms of the darkness or something like that, so... But either way though, there's not much else to really think about this for the time's sake. So either way though, we'll just use the Bloom Fruit to able to once again grow up and all that stuff. So either way though, there's not much else to talk about. So anywho though. So yeah, you know how the fact that I've already mentioned about this before, sensitive forms of Yoshi's Woolly World. I mentioned about this before about the fact that Fire Emblem Three Houses is actually getting some DLC. And especially noticeable that I've heard from some several rumors out there that yes, Luigi's Mansion 3 might also get themselves the DLC treatment too, but we don't know exactly for sure just yet though. I think it's going to be most likely focusing on multiplayer aspects as opposed to the forms of the single player content, but then again we'll find out for ourselves for the later down the road, specifically when we get to 2020, assuming if they're actually going to be announcing the next Nintendo Direct, specifically the first Nintendo Direct on specifically in 2020, if possible. But then again, we'll find things out at some point later down the road, but sure enough though, we're able to actually just, well, know about that at the future time. So anyways, we got another extra life, as you can see right there. So even then, though, we're actually getting pretty good when it comes to getting extra lives alike. So either way, though, we can able to actually make things a little bit easier and simple. But sometimes, though, as I said before, the majority of these green stars might take a while to find because they're going to be well hidden in some places. But anyway, though, now let's move on to green star number 2. As I said before, it's going to be at the very end of this specific stage, as you can probably tell. So even though it's not nearly too far ahead from it, though, but until, you know, in Bowser's Galaxy Generator, the final green star, I believe that much like the forms of how it does it on Shiverbone Galaxy, as well as the forms of Throwback Galaxies, that we do need to acquire specifically the actual specific power-up until you're able to actually reach with that specific point right there. But that again, we'll you know, get to that whenever we're able to actually just get to that specific stage. But for now, we need to focus on this particular point at this point right now. So either way, though, let's go ahead and just eat up the actual Paragoomba before he decides to tick me off at one point, and almost gonna get myself screwed over. In fact, did I seriously screwed over? Yep, I just did. And I'm so sorry, Yoshi, for sacrificing you. Although, despite the fact that he might actually still live because of that, specifically for that little specific floor platform. So either way, though, if you wait long enough, then he'll able to actually respawn right near to the forms of the actual Yoshi's egg nest. So yes, you know, it's not that far from here, though, I don't think. So either way, though, let's just go ahead and be very careful for this point. Make sure we don't touch the bomb before anything else will happen. So, but you know, you get the idea for that particular point right there. So either way, though, that, you know, thankfully, though, the final green star on this level, though, as you can see, it's going to be at the very end right there. So either way, though, let's just ignore the silver stars for now on and just go straight ahead and make sure we need to don't lose our footing. And as you see at its little shiny effect right there, this means green star obtained. So either way, though, that takes care of Flash Black Galaxy. So only 2 more galaxies to go until we're able to conclude everything in World 6. Oh, Jesus Christ, man. I know I felt a little bit more enthusiastic at this point, guys, but the more I speak on the actual commentary at this point in time, I feel slightly sick. But either way, though, hopefully not nearly as sick, though, as compared to the forms of the future videos for this game. So either way, though, but you know, I'm still fine as it goes by. But either way, though, it's just that, well, sometimes I felt slightly sick at some form or another. But anyway, so now let's move on to Slimy Spring Galaxy's green stars now. Thankfully, though, there's only 2 of them, and in fact, speaking of those green stars in this stage, it was actually somewhat close to each other. Well, I believe the first one is going to be very easy to miss, especially for your first time ever play this game, either on the Wii's physical form, or in this case, if you ever play this on the Wii U download version. So, I haven't really gone back into the forms of the Wii U version of that specific download, if you couldn't tell, because, well, obviously because of our fact that we have some issues with the HDMI cable support on playing some backwards compatibility of games on the Wii U itself for the digital download software, which also did happen on my game, which is of course The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, which also has some little bit of a some technical glitches and all that stuff on you know, when our Wii U HDMI support or something on the actual downloadable things itself. Although it does still work on several TVs, but in the forms of, like, specifically the Sony TV that we managed to have or something like that, unfortunately, though, we did come across into a very weird fuzzy sound every time whenever we turn up the sound up on playing specific Wii games on the actual Wii U system itself. But things doesn't go that much complicated either, but either way, though, that's as far from the case. So, yeah, there's the first green star in Slimy Spring Galaxy. It's very easy to miss for your first time playing through this specific stuff like this. But, that could be also the same applies for green star number 2 if you didn't look hard enough, because, well, you might as well find out until whenever we're able to hopefully try to find that. So, and sure enough, we've only got about 3 more green stars to go until we're basically done with World 6. So either way, though, that's, it doesn't take that long, though, but it might actually will be taking a little bit too long, because as you can see on the actual time length right about now, on that specific bottom part, well, assuming if we're able to actually jump into this specific stage, we now recorded this for about 45 minutes long, which as a result of this kinds of stuff, I wasn't really sure if I was expecting that, because again, compared to the forms of the previous episode of this, that we did manage to almost record this for about 47 minutes because of that, you know, that Fleet Glide Green Star mission for Green Star number 2, because of how the fact they need to be super dead on with the actual aiming department, because I seriously swear to God, I keep on missing that Green Star several times because you have to be dead on with the actual acceleration with that particular Flizzard kind of stuff. But, you know, relatively speaking, that was the final time we're going to be seeing that Flizzard bird character, as I said before in the last video, because, well, specifically for this game here, and because of that, though, you're able to actually revisit the actual Flizzard or guiding a bird type of motion control thing until Skyward Sword came around. So either way though, but the major difference is from that is that you need to use the Motion Plus peripheral instead of the actual Wii Remote on its own. Well, without any some sort of like a Motion Plus peripheral supported. So anyways though, so you come towards this launch store over there. Don't launch into ourselves for this point, because instead there's a green store over there. And before we do anything, let's go and grab this extra life quickly. And grab that green star in the process. You know, it's kind of like the same thing for how it does it in 3Z Flight Galaxy, to say for sure, because either way though, some green stars may actually located right almost near to the forms of the 1-up mushrooms. So there's a very cool chance that you can able to actually come across into that specific stuff, because again, that the later green stars might get significantly harder to able to obtain from, and also not to mention, very hard to able to actually just to find them. So either way though, that takes care of the forms of Slimmy Spring Galaxy, and now let's move on to Bowser's Galaxy Generator, the final Bowser stage. Well, to be more specifically, when it comes to green stars on that specific stage. Once again, 2 green stars on that specific stage. Now, I think the first green star is actually not that far from here, but when it comes to like green star number 2, well, you remember the forms of Throwback Galaxy, as well as the forms of the actual Starshine Beach, and as well as the forms of, you know, Shiverbone Galaxy, is the fact that we need to keep that specific power-up alive, and then also not to mention though, is the fact that we need to keep that certain amount of those cloud platforms that you need to save up for. Specifically, let's just say 2 of them, and also you need to once again select Luigi on those specific, green stars as far as you will go, because otherwise though, it just makes things a little bit more easier, so. But anyway though, so let's take care of these very annoying Hammer Bros, as you can probably tell for this point. And also, this will be the last time we're going to be seeing this particular special flower thing right here. So that way we can able to slowly glide into that specific lava pit, as you can see right there. So either way though, we can able to carefully time our movements. Specifically, we don't touch the flames and all that such. So let's go ahead and, son of a biscuit! I somehow missed that! Oh god, I'm always a little bit off when it comes to death alike, but either way though, we'll leave things up to that, but either way though, we'll try that again. And I can see there's actually a little bit of a ghost right here, because obviously since we did manage to play as Luigi before, specifically in this stage, and then as a result, it did manage to save the actual ghost data automatically every time whenever we complete this stage as Luigi, and that could be also same applies for any other stages as well. The only exception is of course the actual Comet missions, which that might be seems very understandable, but when it comes to like regular missions and stuff like that, well, it always has to be by the forms of the normal missions, so. Oh, no, I did not even touch that! I was steering on the middle! I was steering at the middle! That was so lame. I was gonna able to turn, it's like, no, never! Man, that's so frustrating. Oh, jeez. Oh, wow. Looks like I'm gonna be doing incredibly bad at this world so far. Well, nowhere near as hard as the forms of how it does it on Fleet Glide Galaxy, but still, that because, you know, the majority of the green stars is gonna get ridiculously hard to obtain and all that stuff, as I said before. And, you know, you probably get the idea about that. So anyways, let's go ahead and try this again for the 3rd time's a charm, and hopefully we're not able to die continuously though, so. things were able to actually change around here, well, at least as far as predictions correctly, but either way though, let's just, not to jump off earlier though, because if we do, well, otherwise we're able to seriously get screwed over. And there we go, that's green star number 1 obtained in Bowser's Galaxy Generator at long last. And of course, that's since after all, we've only got 1 more Power Star left in World 6. So either way though, we're actually getting pretty close towards it. So either way though, 227. And if we manage to obtain green star number 2 on that stage, that leads to a grand total of 228. And then the majority of those green stars on World S, it'll able to actually add up to like 12 of them, I think, as far as when my calculations are correct. Then, sure enough, it will lead me up to likely 240 by that time. But even then, well, then again, we'll mention more on that until, you know, the 11th of October, as I said this before. But, you know, you get the idea for that point. So, yeah, it's gonna be me talking through the actual guide of that green stars for this point today, because well, I've already mentioned a lot of stuff in the forms of likely in World 5 green stars video, but because as a result of that specific stage of play, PlayStation Direct type of Nintendo and stuff like that, which you know, I've already mentioned about that in the forms of the previous episode on this. So either way though, let's just go ahead and take care of these Hammer Bros for the final time from now on until at the very end of the game. That gets obnoxiously annoying though, especially because of how the fact that there's one particular the very last mission in the whole game that it does requires us a lot of timing work to deal with, especially those with a lot of like trial and error and stuff like that, which again we're not gonna get into ourselves just yet though, because you know it's a bit too early to able to actually reside on for this point. So anyways though, so this will be the last time we're going to be seeing that little specific drill contraption, because either way though, once we're done with the using the drill contraption, then well, we are basically pretty much good to go for this point. Well, at least as far as the actual progression on this so far. So either way though, oh goodness gracious me, Luigi, stop slipping up! Anyways, let's take a hit right here, and then we could able to long jump up ahead, grab that one up in case. And hopefully though, we'll launch ourselves onto that specific cylinder part. Yeah, as I said before, that in order to actually get green star number 2 is the fact that, as I said before, we need to keep that specific power-up alive, specifically for that Cloud Flower power-up. And if we do something like that, then we could able to actually save up between, let's just say, for about 2 platforms. So because of that though, you really need to able to like save the other 2 platforms, or the cloud platforms. But here's the thing about it though, as soon as we're able to actually come across into the actual the midway checkpoint later on though, that's you might as well find out until that time. But from now on though, we need to able to save that specific cloud platforms, specifically just only 2 of them, because if you somehow got 1 platform left, and then if you somehow manage to waste them all, well, you're probably not gonna get it though. So either way though, because it'll make things a little bit more trickier as far as I'm aware, but either way though, because you need to be the trickiest thing about to get that specific green star is not just trying to able to getting it, it's the actual process that makes things a little bit tricky and difficult. Because yeah, as you can see right there, that I need to able to be super precise when it comes to trying to able to get 2 of those cloud platforms to save up from. But sometimes though I keep on wasting 2 of them, because most of the time I wasn't really entirely sure about trying to able to get the correct pattern going on right there, especially in these platforms like these. But as long as you get the hang of it though, once the cloud platform respawns, then you were able to actually just do the actual ridiculously higher wall jumps. And then that way, if you touch this Luma and launch yourselves onto that, specifically the actual section I was talking about, thankfully it wasn't that far off from it though, like as you can see on the distance over there, which I can see there's a green star over there. But here's the thing though, ambushed by the forms of Kamek right there, because if you screw up at least by him, well, there's no way you can get a chance to able to actually get that green star after all. So either way though, we need to use the well, the cloud platforms to able to make our way there. And there we go folks, that pretty much takes care of every single of those freaking green stars in World 6. 54 minutes. Wow. On this entire recording session for that too. Although it might be a little bit longer than that, because otherwise, as you can see on the time length, it's actually 55 minutes, which Wow, that seriously really takes a long time to able to get them. So, yeah, we'll end things off here for this point, guys. So join me next time on Let's Play Super Mario Galaxy 2. Is that we're going to be moving on to the final world when it comes to grabbing these green stars, and that is World S. So see you guys then. Later, fellas.